Welcome to the city, Mastermind City. Hi, I'm Faye Chappell.
And I'm Stacy Maynard. Join us for a vibrant, inspiring, and uplifting talk as we focus on how you can make a lasting impact on a global scale. Because the truth is, we're here because we want you to win.
So are you ready to surround yourself with success? Because you're in the right place. Welcome to the city. As you guys know, I'm selling the house and we sold this morning. So actually last night, but 4 days, which is great. Exactly what we wanted. It's such a relief to be able to, move on. The trouble with, when you're running any business and you're having to deal with personal stuff as well, it's hard to actually get through your business. And, as you guys know, we've had to slow things down for the last couple of months because of the move and all the changes we've been making. And so I feel like I can now, get back into it and do everything.
And breathe.
Right. And breathe.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And so it's interesting because, everything was cleaned and I didn't have anything in my office. You guys know I don't have a webcam here. I don't have a ring light. I have nothing. And so I had to do some hacks just to get some lighting going. So we'll tell you about that in Tech City. And the good news that comes out of actually selling is I can now go find my clothes so I don't have to wear tank tops anymore. So
yeah, it's amazing when things are packed away. You go, wow, like the house looks so great. But then you realize that
I have no clothes.
Well, you don't have anything.
No, I have nothing. I have black tanks and scrubs. That's all I have is about, 6 or 7 pairs. I was saying to my friend last week, I was like, well, I don't remember wearing anything this summer, right? I didn't wear a dress. I didn't wear shorts. I just wore work clothes. So it's going to be
a busy
really
summer.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because speaking of clothing, of course, we love summer and it's great, but I also love the change of season. So I don't know what it's like in like southern US, but here in Canada, we have very distinct seasons.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that fall is coming. So fall is my favorite season. It's actually fall starts today.
Yeah.
And I start to get my jackets back.
Yeah. So I look like I'm out of season here.
Yeah.
But I'll get back into it. I did want to talk about that, about just the fact that the lesson here on, it's okay to take a break. And we've talked about it a lot of times, but it's okay to take a break when you need to settle your personal stuff, because when that's clear, I firmly believe you can't really do well in your business until you've cleared all the clutter away. And so when there's things hanging on top of you, you just can't do it. So you muddle through and you do the best you can. And we did a lot of, I did a lot of coach in the car for Gia, and I'm still there, in terms of my advice and mentally and all that, but it's just hard when you're not stationary and you're not, but you have to adjust. And I think people are starting to be much better at it because they had to be in COVID, right?
Yeah.
So you just adjust on the fly and you go. And now, like for me, it's like literally a light bulb went off like this morning when it was all done. And it was like, okay, like I have even when we first got on here, I immediately started talking to you before we went live about the business and what we wanted to do, what I want to do like today. So I haven't had that urge for a couple of months.
Right. And you know what? Then there's no point in forcing things, because I think what ends up happening is you feel like I should do this, I should do that. I still need to focus on business. And sometimes when you take that break, you come back and your things are better, your brain is better, you can get things done more efficiently. Whereas if you try to force it, it can take you weeks to get something done, where it's like, well, why am I trying to force this to happen when if I took a break and did it now, when you have this sort of off your shoulders, you can go, okay,
exactly,
let's go. And you will do it in a day rather than it taking you 3 weeks to figure out how you're going to do it because your brain is other places. So
exactly.
Agreed.
Exactly.
Very important.
So good. So what's happening with you?
Well, yesterday was our first networking power hour.
Oh, cool. And I was not there because I was in the midst of offers. And
that's okay. Well, it's interesting because so Linda Stanko, who is our resident community director, she's the networking guru. She's taught me a lot about networking through my years. And we were talking before yesterday, of course, how should she run it? Like, Do you want to do bigger groups? And of course, I'm the tech person. So I did make, I'll tell you about the funny mistake I made. So Zoom, we did it through Zoom, and Zoom has breakout rooms. So we tried to figure out like how many people should be in a room and how much time based on that many people should you sort of give them to talk. So our conversation was very funny. I remember her thinking, okay, well, if there's 2 people in a room, and we're talking about all the pros and cons of, should there be 4 people in a room, 3 people in a room, 2 people in a room? What does that look like? Because when you're in a room with a lot of people, you don't really get to know the people in the room. Like, let's be real. You do your introductions, and great, I know that you're the strategist, and I know somebody else who does this, that, or the other thing, but I don't really have a conversation with them. So her focus, which I totally agree, is smaller groups so that you can actually get to know the people who are quote unquote in your room.
Right.
So our first conversation was, 2 people in a room for 5 minutes. I feel like we're playing like back in the day, right? Like you go in the closet with so many people.
Yeah.
But you go into a breakout room and you have a conversation, and it's 5 minutes. And I started going, 5 minutes? What are you going to talk about for 5 minutes?
Exactly. That's a long time.
It's not. And that's what I learned yesterday.
Right.
It's not. So I did participate. I wasn't sure how it was all going to go, but I did participate because I wasn't sure with the tech in the background whether I was actually going to be able to go into a room with somebody and have a conversation. So I did. Right. And I put the timer on my phone for 5 minutes, and I asked her a question and she answered it, and the 5 minutes was done.
Right. That's true. Depends on who you're talking to. Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, well, I guess we need longer, because I remember Linda saying, if you go in, like, if there's 2 people, like 10 minutes. And I was like, you're crazy.
Yeah, that would have been me.
5
minutes.
I have to talk to somebody for 10 minutes? No, I'm kidding. But what I realized very quickly was that 10 minutes would have been fantastic. The 5 minutes just went by way too fast. So now, because you need to experience things.
Yeah.
In order to sort of know what the best way. So yesterday was our first. So we're going to do it weekly on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock.
Well, I think it's important to understand. So, Stacy and I both said, 5 minutes is a long time. We've been doing this a long time, and we've done a lot of networking, and it is a very long time if you end up with somebody who doesn't talk.
Right.
Generally, though, I think the difference, and maybe this you can correct me or not, but I think, when you go into something that's networking, those people talk. So yes, it's longer, but our perception is sometimes when you go somewhere and you end up with somebody that doesn't talk, because it's not a networking event, right?
Well, that's so we ended up having a really good conversation afterwards. There's just a few of us, and they said 5 minutes can go by like that. Right. Or 5 minutes can seem like 5 hours.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where we were.
If you're with somebody either that doesn't talk or that you're just really not compatible with. Right. But if you are starting a really great conversation, 5 minutes can go by really fast, which is what ended up happening in my case. Like I said, we use Zoom. First time that I've used the Zoom breakout rooms. Right. So as you know, I'm, pretty good when it comes to tech stuff. I don't feel that all the time I need to test everything. Like, I'm all about testing, and we have literally screamed it from the rooftops, make sure your equipment works, make sure your equipment works.
And we've been on Zoom forever.
I've been on Zoom forever. Yeah. So it didn't occur to me to think, I know how breakout rooms work. I've done my research. I've tested out the breakout rooms, so I know how they work. But what I didn't know, which I found out quickly, was there's no, when you click the button, you go to the breakout rooms. I don't know if anybody's used the breakout rooms or not, but basically you kind of click breakout rooms and you choose how many rooms, and that's based on the amount of people. It distributes people equally. And as the host, you can go into different rooms. Right. Or you can reassign people. So I felt very power trippy.
You had that God complex going on, didn't you?
I was like, I got the power. And I started clicking, I could move this person, just like that. They would never, But what I ended up doing by accident, in all seriousness, was I clicked the close rooms button. Except for the fact that I was expecting a prompt. So in today's world, when you click the delete button, as an example, you get a prompt.
It says, are you sure?
Are you sure? Yeah. So what I was expecting when you clicked close room was, Are you sure? Do you want to give them like 1 minute's notice or 30 seconds notice? I was expecting another prompt.
Right.
So I click literally 30 seconds after they had gone into the bigger room. I click close room because I wanted to see what the prompt was going to be. There was no prompt.
No prompt. No.
So
it's like these days, everything's instant. Everything's instant now. We're moving on up. People understand tech, so we don't need prompts.
We don't need prompts. So it was very funny because what ends up happening is it gives you the 30-second countdown timer, and then boom, everyone is literally like ripped out of their breakout rooms and thrown back into the main room. And I'm like, yeah, sorry about that. And they're like, well, I was in the middle of a sentence.
That's okay.
So it's fine. It was a laugh. Because what you can do is manually assign. So I just went in and, people are like, okay, this is who I was with, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I was able to make that happen again in regards to, now I'll actually give you time now that I actually know what I'm doing. So sometimes things happen, even with the people who know the tech. Sometimes mistakes happen, and that's okay. We laugh about it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really funny that I didn't get a prompt.
Hey, but that's why we love talking about tech so much, because it's like, it doesn't bother us when things go wrong. It's okay.
I just thought it was hysterical.
Yeah. And it doesn't bother us when things go wrong when we're the participant. We're okay, because we know, like, we don't get angry. It's not that person's fault. It just happens. Unless we know it's that person's fault because they don't know what they're doing. Then we might get a little angry.
System, though, like if I go to a store and they're getting frustrated because their system is slow. I remember being on the phone with, I think it was my insurance company. We were just talking about different options and stuff for and she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just can't, like, my computer is just not refreshing fast enough. I'm like, it's okay.
It's okay. Nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do. It's like, you know what? Computers are great when they work really well, but sometimes things happen that doesn't.
Right. And that's kind of why we wanted to, we for the longest time, we did Tech Tuesdays for our community, and we wanted to go one step further and do, now we're in Tech City, and we always give our feedback on stuff we're working on and stuff. But now we wanted to really go more in depth and do reviews, right? And say, look, because what we found, and this is what we were a little bit nervous about with, when we were doing Tech Tuesday, we would say, this is a great product. And then people would just hear this is a great product and buy it because we said it was, right?
Right.
Without really understanding what they were buying. And we're not here to do that. We're here to tell you, this is what we believe is a great product for this purpose, and we're using it. So if you want a real life review, go ahead and, pick it up, but don't just like immediately go, if they're using it, I should use it. So we wanted to be a little more in depth with our tech reviews, full reviews, and say, we're going to walk you through like screenshots and that, and say, like, this is how we use it personally. So it might be a good solution for you. There's lots out there. We've tried pretty much everything, but we want to make sure that, we do more in depth so people will really understand it. Because how many people have bought things that we've said and they don't use it? They just think they need it, but they might not need it.
Well, and I also think on top of, that we use it and going more in depth, we also want to talk about the why we use it.
Yes.
And how we use it. Because just because it makes sense for our business does not mean it makes sense for somebody else's business.
Yeah.
Or when they see how and why, they go, oh, you know what? That's exactly what I needed. Right. That's what I've been looking for. I've tried all these other solutions. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see how you use it and why it makes your life easier. Yeah. Now I'm going to go buy it, but eyes wide open.
Yes. That's why our first question always when somebody says, should I buy this? And we always say, do you need it? Will you use it? Right?
Because there's no sense in buying something if you're not going to use it. No. But there's some fantastic platforms out there.
Yeah.
We love testing a lot of them. We sometimes forget what we have when we think of a solution. We immediately go to our library and go, we have a program that's going to do that. But we also like testing the betas out there, they haven't even sort of hit mainstream yet.
No.
And those are the ones we love testing the most.
And we talk about it a lot, the fact that if you jump in when they're in their funding phase for these software platforms, you can get it really, really inexpensively. So if you can at least see that in 6 months from now you'll use it, then it's a good investment.
Yeah.
Right. So but you have to really commit to saying, yes, I'm going to use it, not like, oh, this is really cool, and, they use it, so I will. No, you have to really ask yourself, honestly, are you going to use it? And, we have some little tricks about doing free trials and stuff and seeing if we really like something before we commit. Because sometimes we like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And then we go do the trial and then we're like, yeah, not so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's happened. And on top of platforms that we've used, we'll also talk about platforms that we're not using and why we're not using them, how we make those decisions.
Yeah, and we've bought some that we don't use, right? We used it for a time and it was great until something else came on the market that was easier and better. And so there's several that I've purchased in the past and never used because literally I purchased and then a month later something else came out that was better. So to me, I don't use something just because I bought it, right? Because if you find something that's better and saves you more time, it's worth buying the new thing and just saying, okay, I didn't pay much, I'm not going to worry about it. But like it's like, what's the point of using something old? It's kind of like, everything in homes and that new technology comes out that saves you time. So why hold on to this old, method, old school way of doing things when the new one is, so much better? Because every time you turn around, you're like, wow, I can't believe I can do this now and I can do this now, right? It always.
What I do is I look at the cost as both of them together. So if I looked at the first one, it was say, I don't know, $100.
Yeah.
And then I look at the newer one that I think is better as $100. I look at the cost for this particular platform is $200.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you go, would you spend $200 on this? Absolutely. It saves you time. It saves you money. It works. You're good. So that's the way I look at it. I don't look at it as buying twice, but you also sometimes on the opposite front, shiny objects, right? Yeah. Like sometimes the newer seems better, but when you actually dive deeper into it, the old tried and true sometimes is just as good.
Yeah.
If not
and a
better.
lot of it comes down to personal preference in terms of the user experience, right? So the dashboard, how things work. I mean, that's why we like to trial things because everyone, it's kind of like PC and Mac, right? Like all dashboards are not created equal, and it depends on how you like to use things. So, Mac is, very intuitive, very creative, very flowy. Whereas, PCs are very, organized, linear system, right? And so are dashboards and other tools. So you might just go onto a dashboard and go, I love this. It's intuitive. It makes sense to me. And then other ones you might go, oh, it's too many steps. I don't really like to use it. Yeah, so it's better to trial things and make sure you really understand them before you commit to something, especially bigger ticket items, right? And there's a lot of them, right? There's a lot of bigger ticket items. And sometimes you wait, like we've bought big ticket software that's now going on year 2. It's not where we want it to be at, but we know once it's there, we're going to use it a lot. So we were willing to invest at a lower price to make sure that we got the benefits, even if it's a couple of years down the road. If you're struggling, if you're looking for new ideas, then you really should join us because it makes a lot of sense to understand things on a little easier scale. A little easier scale.
Absolutely. And I'm excited about that because I think one thing that both Fay and I love is technology. So we love to share it. We love to talk about it. Did you see this new thing? Did you see this new thing? Did you we're constantly, did you see this program, all that kind of stuff. But I would say, now that I kind of look intentionally, I'm not so shiny object syndrome as I used to be. Because I was like, oh, that looks cooler and newer. Yeah. I immediately want to switch. But now I know this works for me. I know it's good. I know it works well. I like the way it operates, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. I'm like, no. So it actually has helped me be less shiny object syndrome.
Yeah. Well, squirrel, and even like
squirrel.
So iOS, the new iOS launched, and I read about it last week, and so I was in bed last night. As you guys know, I'm always with my phone. And I'm in bed last night, and I'm reading a Wired article on it and how to switch, because there's some really cool settings, right, on the new iOS for your phone. And I'm reading and I'm going into my settings and I can't find them. And then I realize, oh my God, I forgot to download it. So and what did I do? I immediately sent the article to Stacy so she could see the cool things. And then I downloaded it, and right away I started flipping on the new pieces. We can't talk 100% on this because I just downloaded it. I don't even know if you have, Stacy, but
I downloaded it last night. I'm just
yeah,
re-downloading because it didn't
but
go
there's
through.
some really interesting things, and I just wanted to give a couple of highlights. We'll talk about it on tech in detail because we haven't really used it. But what I like about it, there's 3 things that I like if I can remember them. Number 1 is that you can hide your IP so people can't track you. Why is important? Bad for businesses who do advertising because you can't retarget.
Well, it's also bad for email opens because you're not somehow it's registering as an open
Right.
on your email results, where actually the person may not have opened the email.
Right.
So you also have that
good
challenge.
for user, bad for business. We have to kind of play with it, but I do like it. Number 2 is there's a really interesting thing called hide my email or something like that. And I haven't tried it yet, but when you're on Safari, okay, I'm going to tell you guys because, again, user versus business. Business, bad. User, good. So what it does, though, is you can go on Safari and you go to, so say you went to any website that has an opt-in. You can generate a different email. It will generate an email for you from iCloud if you're an iCloud person. It'll generate a random email or an email that you can set up and use. And so you don't even have to have that account. It'll just automatically go into your iCloud stuff.
Oh,
interesting. Really, really interesting.
Test that one out. I'll have to.
I know, very strange. And then there was another one on obviously the tracking, you guys know, for the ads and things. But I know I'm kind of talking top line. I haven't dug in. It's an interesting place that, Apple is moving because, yes, I mean, I know all businesses are going to complain, including us, right?
Yeah.
That's it. They're going to complain. But rather than say, oh, we can't retarget, oh, we can't do this, now we have to find a way to be better. We need to be better. And we need to be, all businesses need to be less annoying about, you still have the option. You can push the option that says allow ads and things to come that I would, prefer, but you can also say no. So when people say no, how do you get to the people that initially clicked on you? So that's kind of exciting because rather than say, like, in your initial, when I first read it, your initial thing is, oh, that's going to suck. That's going to be terrible for business. But then I was like, oh, so now we have to come up with something new. And that is fun.
Yeah. And what I think is interesting is also forces people to get creative.
Yeah.
And that's what I look forward to is I love seeing how workarounds and just seeing people's brains going, okay, well, this is how I was able to do this. And this is how I was able to do that. So that's what I get excited about as well. So
if you are sitting there listening and you don't know anything about tech and you finally got somebody to do retargeting for you and all that stuff, here's the thing. Things are changing, and we always say you need to be informed. You don't need to know how to do it, but you need to be informed so that when you do talk to the people that are doing it for you, you can make an intelligent decision. We're going to tell you very basics about everything so that you can have conversations with the people that do your work for you, your tech work, or you can actually understand yourself and be able to do it. So we're not talking highbrow here. It's down. It's, the plane is landing. We're down on the ground, and we're going to tell you the reality of what you need to know. Because if you're currently working with an organization that does ads for you and retargeting and everything else, and they're not telling you about this change, you need to understand that your results are going to dramatically fall, and you need to understand why. So.
Exactly. So no, I'm looking forward to trying it out. Like I said, I haven't installed it yet. I've downloaded it because I got it late last night. And as you know, I'm an early to bed person.
Yes, you are.
So I did not install
And I was sitting there, literally, I was sitting there. It was on my nightstand and I'm watching the line. Like, come on, hurry up.
I know I get really excited with bigger updates that Apple does, and whether it's computer, whether it's phone.
Yeah.
I get
So
excited.
if you're a Mac person, update your phone. You're an iOS, Apple phone, update your phone and update your operating system on your Mac, because they all want to work together.
Well, what I found really interesting about this particular update was typically you go and it's like, yep, your phone, you can update, you click. But this one,
Yeah.
it's your phone's up to date and it gives you the option
Yeah.
to update to the next operating system, which I thought was very interesting that they did it that way versus.
Yes, because a lot of people who have older phones can't really handle the newer updates, right?
Yeah. So I like the fact they've given that option versus before it forced you to update and then.
A lot of apps don't work, right, on the new updates and things. So you have to be selective. But, Stacy and I just like hit, give it to me now.
Yeah. Yes. Always yes.
Always yes. And it's kind of, and then of course it pops up, oh, your watch is not updated. I'm like, oh.
I don't want to go there. I know. I have like the old watch. So I need to get
too.
that. Anyway.
It's time. I wanted to wait because the new ones have come out now, right? The newer ones and the new iPhones. Talk about that too. Not a lot of difference, but a little bit. So it's time, I think. Christmas Santa should bring me a new watch, I think.
Well, Santa's giving you a house or taking your house away. No.
He's taking my house away, but I'm getting a new studio and big farm, and I'm going to be a country girl.
Your clothes have to change now.
Well, I think I've been in them for a year. Feels like a year, at least the summer. I am really looking forward to, I still have a little bit of time, but when you guys finally see me with a jacket or a shirt, that will be awesome.
All right. Well, good luck and enjoy your peace and quiet.
I will.
And we will see you next week.
Thanks for joining us in the city.
If you're ready to make a lasting impression on a global scale, you can learn more at joingia.com. That's joingia.com.
So go there now because the world is waiting for you.